The thing about running is that you never really leave. Not completely. You carry pieces of what you're fleeing in your body like shrapnel. A bruise that's turned from purple to yellow-green. A wedding ring in your jacket pocket that you can't throw away yet because throwing it away would make it real. A text message from a number you blocked 3 times that still finds a way through. I'm on a red eye from Seattle to New York, seat 3A, and the most dangerous man I'll ever meet is sitting in 3B reading the Wall Street Journal like he's got all the time in the world. I don't know that yet, though, about the dangerous part. All I know is that he's Korean, maybe mid-30s, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent used to cost. Tom Ford, I think, though I'm not sure how I know that. His cufflinks catch the overhead light, mother of pearl with some kind of engraving I can't read from this angle. He smells like sandalwood and something else. Something expensive I don't have a name for. My name is Bryn Carver, and 6 hours ago I walked out of a marriage that was killing me in increments so small I didn't notice I was dying until I couldn't breathe anymore. The man in 3B hasn't looked at me once since I sat down. Hasn't acknowledged me at all, actually, which is exactly what I need right now. Invisibility, the kind of quiet that doesn't ask questions. The flight attendant comes by. First-class treatment. Champagne or orange juice before takeoff. Water, I say. My voice sounds like I've been screaming, which I haven't. Not out loud, anyway. The man in 3B folds his newspaper with the kind of precision that suggests he's done this 10,000 times. Sets it on his lap, looks at the flight attendant. "Whiskey," he says. His voice is quiet. Accented, the kind of voice that doesn't need volume because people have learned to listen the first time. "Neat. Whatever you have that's older than 12 years. She nods and disappears. He still hasn't looked at me. I pull out my phone. 17 missed calls. 43 text messages. All from Trenton. I don't read them. I know what they say. Some version of "come home" mixed with "you're overreacting" mixed with "I'll find you." The thing about Trenton Holloway is that he means all 3. The phone buzzes again. I turn it off completely this time, hands shaking. That's when the man in 3B finally looks at me. Not at my face, at my hands. His eyes are dark, almost black. They move from my trembling fingers to the yellowing bruise on my left forearm. 5 days old, shaped exactly like 4 fingers and a thumb, then back to my face. He doesn't say anything, just reaches into his jacket pocket, pulls out a business card, and sets it on the armrest between us. Then he goes back to his newspaper like nothing happened. I look at the card, heavy stock, cream-coloured, no name. Just a phone number embossed in black ink. "I don't need—" I start. "I didn't ask what you need," he says without looking up from the financial section. "I'm telling you what's available." The flight attendant returns with his whiskey. He accepts it with a nod that somehow feels like a full conversation. I slip the card into my pocket next to my wedding ring. If you've ever left something that was destroying you but still felt like you were the one doing something wrong, you already understand what I was feeling at 35,000 feet. Don't just scroll. Subscribe. Because what happened in the next 5 hours taught me the difference between being saved and being owned. And that difference is thinner than you think. We're somewhere over Montana when the turbulence starts. Not the gentle kind, The kind that makes the flight attendant sit down mid-service and the captain's voice comes on with that rehearsed calm that means he's actually a little concerned. The plane drops. My stomach goes with it. I grip the armrest. The man in 3B doesn't move, doesn't even close his newspaper, just turns the page like gravity is optional for him. Another drop, harder this time. My water bottle falls, rolls down the aisle. His hand moves, not fast, just there, steady. On the armrest, I'm death gripping. Not touching me. Just close enough that I can feel the heat from his palm. Breathe, he says, still not looking at me, still reading about quarterly earnings or whatever the hell is in that paper. I realise I've been holding my breath. I exhale slowly. You've done this before, I say, not a question. Turbulence? Yes. Running. That gets his attention. He sets the paper down, looks at me properly for the first time. Is that what you're doing? His voice is still quiet, but there's something underneath it now, something that sounds almost like recognition. I don't answer. He picks up his whiskey, takes a slow sip, sets it down with the precision that matches everything else about him. Let me tell you something about running, he says. The person you're running from always thinks they're the reasonable one. They've convinced themselves that the problem is you, your sensitivity, your overreaction, your inability to just let things go. My throat tightens. And the worst part, he continues, eyes back on his drink, is that they're so convinced of this narrative that they'll follow you across the country to prove it, because in their mind, they're not chasing you. They're rescuing you from yourself. I stare at him. How do you... I don't, he cuts me off. I'm just good at patterns. The turbulence smooths out. The seatbelt sign dings off. He goes back to his newspaper. I sit there with his words settling in my chest like stones. What's your name? I ask. He's quiet for a long moment, then... Hyunwoo Park. I'm Bryn. I know. That stops me. How? You checked in ahead of me. I heard the gate agent say it. He turns another page. Also, your boarding pass is sticking out of your bag, face up. Oh. What do you do, Hyunwoo Park? I ask, because suddenly I need to know who I'm sitting next to, whose business card is in my pocket. He considers the question the way someone considers a chess move. I solve problems, he says finally, for people who can't solve them themselves. What kind of problems? The kind that don't have legal solutions. The way he says it, so calm, so matter-of-fact, makes my skin prickle. You're not a therapist, I say. No. Or a lawyer. Definitely not. Then what? Bryn. My name in his mouth sounds different, sharper. You seem like a smart woman, so I'm going to let you decide if you want me to answer that question directly. Because once I do, you can't unhear it. I look at him, really look. At the suit that costs more than most people's cars, at the cufflinks engraved with something that might be a family crest, at the watch on his wrist, a Patek Philippe Nautilus, the kind collectors wait years to buy, that he keeps checking like he's counting down to something, at the calm that isn't peace. It's a held breath before violence. I don't want to know, I say quietly. He nods once. Smart choice. But I keep the business card in my pocket. We're 3 hours into the flight when my phone vibrates in my purse even though I turned it off. I pull it out, It's on. Fully charged, which makes no sense because it was at 12% when I powered down. And there's a new message from Trenton. I know you're on flight 447. We can talk when you land. Or we can make this difficult. Your choice. My hands start shaking again. Worse this time. Hyunwoo doesn't look up from his book. He switched from the newspaper to a hardcover with Korean characters on the spine, but his voice cuts through my panic. He found out which flight you're on. Not a question. A statement. I nod. Does he know where you're going in New York? I don't know, maybe. I stayed with my cousin there 2 years ago. He might remember. Hyunwoo sets his book down, pulls out his own phone, types something. Fast. In Korean, I think, based on the characters. What are you doing? I ask. Giving you a choice. He doesn't look at me, just keeps typing. You can land in New York, get off this plane, and hope your ex-husband is bluffing about making things difficult. Hope he's not waiting at the gate. Hope he doesn't know where your cousin lives. He pauses, sends the message, slides his phone back into his jacket. Or, I whisper, or you let me handle it. Handle what, exactly? He finally looks at me, and in his eyes I see something that makes my pulse stutter. Not cruelty, not exactly. Something colder than that, more surgical. I make sure he understands that you're not his problem to solve anymore. By doing what? Bryn. He says my name like he's explaining something to a child. Men like your husband respond to one language, and it's not conversation. My stomach twists. I don't want you to hurt him. I won't. A pause. I won't need to. Then what? Do you know how many ways there are to make a man disappear without laying a finger on him? His voice is still quiet, still calm. Financial records. Employment history, credit rating, immigration status, housing stability. I can pull threads in ways he won't even notice until his entire life is unraveling. I stare at him. Who the hell are you? He picks up his book again. I told you, I solve problems. By destroying people? By making sure certain people understand consequences. He turns a page. There's a difference. Have you ever met someone who terrified you and made you feel safer than you felt in years at the exact same time? If that contradiction lives in your chest, hit subscribe. Because the choice he offered me in that moment changed everything I thought I understood about protection and control. I don't answer right away. Can't, actually, because my brain is trying to process what he just offered, what he just threatened, and why some broken part of me wants to say yes. Why would you help me? I ask finally. You don't know me. No, he agrees, but I knew someone like you once. He's quiet for a long moment. Then, her name was G.R., my sister. She was married to a man who convinced her that love was supposed to hurt, that she was too sensitive, too dramatic, that if she just tried harder, he'd stop needing to correct her. Past tense. Was. My throat closes. She called me one night, he continues, voice still flat and controlled, like he's reading a weather report. Asked if she could stay with me for a while. Just a few days, she said, just until things calmed down. I told her no, told her she was overreacting, that married couples fight and she needed to work it out. He stops, takes a slow breath. 3 days later, she was in the hospital. Traumatic brain injury. She died without waking up. Jesus. I'm sorry, I whisper. Don't be. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. He closes his book, sets it on his lap with that same terrible precision. I'm telling you so you understand that when I offer to solve a problem like this, it's not charity, it's not kindness. It's just me making sure I'm never too late again. I look at him, at the sharp line of his jaw, at the way his hands are perfectly still, even though he just told me his sister died because of him, or because of what he didn't do. What did you do? I ask. To her husband. What I should have done before she called me that night. He doesn't elaborate. I don't ask him to. The offer stands, he says, but you need to understand something. If you say yes, if you let me handle this, there's no halfway. I don't do warnings. I don't do second chances. I finish things. What does that mean? It means your husband will learn exactly one lesson, and that lesson is Bryn Carver is not his to touch, call, find, or think about ever again. Period. The way he says my full name, like he's engraving it into something permanent, makes my chest tight. And what do I owe you? I ask. Because nothing is free, I learned that a long time ago. Nothing. Everyone wants something. He's quiet for a moment then. When this is over, if I call you someday and ask you a question, you tell me the truth. That's the price. Honesty. Nothing more. It sounds too simple, too clean. Why would you want that? Because the people in my life lie to me constantly about what I do, who I am, what they think of me, and I'm tired of it. He looks at me directly. So if I help you walk away from a man who's been lying to you about what love looks like, the least you can do is not lie to me about anything else, ever. I think about Trenton, about the 17 missed calls, about the bruise on my arm that he swore was an accident, about the wedding ring in my pocket that still has blood under the diamond setting from when he shoved it onto my finger 2 years ago and the prongs caught my skin. I think about GR, about how Hyunwoo's sister is dead because no one helped her. I think about the business card in my pocket. Okay, I whisper. He nods once, pulls out his phone, sends a text in Korean. It's done, he says. What did you just do? Made a phone call, well, a text, same principle. To who? Someone who specializes in making certain kinds of men understand boundaries. My stomach twists. You said you wouldn't hurt him. I won't, but scared and hurt are different things. He slides his phone away. By the time we land, your husband will have received 3 messages. One from his employer's HR department about an audit. One from his bank about suspicious activity on his accounts. And one from a lawyer representing a woman he doesn't know, threatening a harassment suit. But that's all fake, yes, but he doesn't know that. And by the time he figures it out, you'll be somewhere safe, and he'll have learned that coming after you has consequences. I stare at him. This is insane. This is effective. What if he doesn't stop? Hyunwoo's face doesn't change. Then the next round of consequences won't be fake. We land at JFK at 6:47 a.m. The seatbelt sign dings off. Everyone stands. Starts pulling bags from overhead bins with that weird post-flight urgency. I don't move. Neither does Hyun-woo. What happens now? I ask. Now you get off the plane, go to your cousin's place, start your life without him in it. And you? I have a meeting in Midtown at 9. He's still not looking at me, just staring straight ahead at the seat in front of him. Will I see you again? I ask. Don't know why I ask, don't know if I want the answer. That depends. On what? On whether you keep running, or whether you decide to stay somewhere long enough to build something. The aisle is clearing now, people filing off. Hyun-woo stands, smooth, unhurried, pulls his bag from the overhead compartment like it weighs nothing. He looks down at me. The card I gave you, don't use it unless you absolutely have to. And if you do use it, understand that the help you're asking for isn't the kind that comes with a receipt and a thank you note. What kind does it come with? The kind that changes things permanently. He walks away, doesn't look back. I sit there for another 30 seconds. Then I grab my bag and follow the crowd off the plane. Ever feel like the moment you walked away from danger, you walked straight towards something more dangerous? If you've felt that pull between safety and surrender, subscribe. Because what I found out about Hyun-woo Park in the weeks that followed made me realize the scariest people aren't the ones who hurt you. They're the ones who protect you so well you forget you were ever free. I'm in the baggage claim when my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Your husband has been advised by legal counsel to cease all contact. If he violates this, there will be immediate escalation. You're clear. For now. HP. I stare at the message. Then another one comes through, this time from Trenton. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, Bryn, but this isn't over. You can't just walk away from a marriage. That's not how this works. Before I can type a response, another message appears. From Hyun-woo's number. Don't answer him. Forward his message to me. I'll handle it. I do, hands shaking. 3 minutes later, Trenton's number is blocked, and there's one more message from Hyun-woo. If he contacts you again through any means, email, social media, carrier pigeon, you tell me immediately. Understood? I type back, understood. Then, thank you. His response takes a full minute. Don't thank me yet. You don't know what you've agreed to. I slip my phone into my pocket, walk toward the exit, toward my cousin's apartment in Brooklyn, toward whatever version of my life exists now. The wedding ring is still in my jacket. The business card is still next to it. And somewhere in Midtown Manhattan, the most dangerous man I've ever met is sitting in a meeting, solving someone else's problem. I don't know it yet, but Trenton will try to contact me again in 2 weeks. And when he does, Hyun-woo's handling it won't be fake messages and empty threats. It will be 3 men in suits showing up at Trenton's apartment with documentation proving he committed fraud at his company, fraud Hyun-woo manufactured in 72 hours using financial records Trenton didn't know existed. It will be a job offer in Singapore that Trenton can't refuse because every other door in his industry will suddenly, mysteriously close. It will be Trenton Holloway on a plane within a week, relocated 9,000 miles away, with a restraining order he doesn't even know is fake following him like a shadow. I don't know any of that yet. All I know is that I walked onto a plane running from one man and walked off under the protection of another. And protection, I'm learning, is just another word for control. The difference is who's holding the leash, and whether you're grateful for it or terrified by it. 3 months later, I'll get a call from an unknown number. I'll answer it because by then I'll know it's him. "Bryn," Hyunwoo will say. No greeting, no small talk, just my name. "Hi, I need to ask you something, and you promised me honesty." "I remember." A pause, then. "Do you regret it, letting me help you?" I'll think about that question, about Trenton's silence, about the peace I've found in my cousin's apartment, about the fact that I sleep through the night now without checking the locks, about the fact that I still have Hyunwoo's business card, and that I've thought about calling him 16 times for reasons that have nothing to do with fear and everything to do with the way he looked at me on that plane, like I was worth protecting, worth remembering. "No," I'll tell him, "I don't regret it." "Good," another pause, "because I'm calling in the second part of our agreement." "What agreement?" "You said you'd tell me the truth, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I need you to be honest." My heart will speed up. "Okay." "Are you happy?" Of all the questions I expected, that wasn't one of them. "Yes," I'll say, and I'll mean it. "Good." He'll sound, satisfied, maybe relieved. "Then I did it right this time." And he'll hang up before I can ask what he means. But I'll know. Chia, his sister, the woman he was too late to save. He was making sure he wasn't too late again, even if that meant becoming the kind of man who can rearrange someone's entire existence with a few phone calls and a network of people who solve problems without asking questions. I'll sit there holding my phone for a long time, and I'll realize something that makes my chest ache. The most dangerous thing about Hyunwoo Park isn't what he can do to your enemies. It's what he makes you willing to accept from him in exchange for peace. Because here's the truth no one tells you about being saved. Sometimes the person who rescues you isn't a hero. Sometimes they're just someone who saw you drowning and decided you belong to them now. And sometimes, if you're honest, really honest, you're okay with that. Because belonging to someone who sees you, who protects you, who would burn down the world to make sure you're safe, that's better than belonging to someone who saw you bleeding and told you it was your fault for bruising so easily. The difference between prison and sanctuary is just whether you can see the bars, and whether the person holding the key makes you feel seen or makes you feel owned. I'm still deciding which one Hyunwoo is, but I haven't thrown away his business card. And I probably never will. Some people call it protection, some call it possession. I call it the choice I made at 35,000 feet between the devil I knew and the devil who knew me better. If this story made you feel something, fear, hope, that dangerous pull towards someone who could destroy you or save you, then subscribe. Because the line between being protected and being owned is thinner than you think, and once you cross it, there's no going back.